Hey guys, the event Besides the Eclipse got updated by giving us the last 2 stages available in the Imagination Palace, and we're gonna take a look at both of these stages right now, starting off with stage number 5 called Memories Are Treasures. Here you have 2 enemies. Let's first of all take a look at the actual boss. He says when entering battle and at the end of the round, he inflicts a debuff called Bean Revolution on a random ally of yours. So what is Bean Revolution? It simply says that character gain not Moxie. So yeah, one of your characters each round will not be able to gain Moxie. That's about it. More importantly though, the key part here for this enemy is disempowerment. That says that the character that gets disempowerment is first of all always the ally in spot number 1. I will show you what that exactly means in a second. And this debuff says that this character with disempowerment will take more damage, 30% more in fact, and will deal absolutely no damage. So what that comes down to is that you don't want to have your main DPS, which in my case is Lucy. You don't want your main DPS at spot number 1 in your team. You see, this is spot number 1 where my Lucy is right now. I don't want her to be there because she would deal no damage and take more damage. So I will switch her out to any other spot. And I want to have a character, like in my case, Mrs. New Bubble, in spot number 1 that is not made out of paper and yeah, take a bunch of hits without getting obliterated, right? And you also want to make sure that the character with the least amount of damage is in spot number 1, right? Those are the factors. So again, don't have your main DPS at spot number 1, have a character that deals very low damage to begin with and is not made out of paper in spot number 1. And that's about it for this enemy. Now if you have an ally that needs his ultimate to deal a lot of damage, then you have to watch out for this debuff that he inflicts every round called Bean Revolution, because not only can this ally not gain any Moxie for the round, but every time it takes action, it gains Moxie -1. So keep that in mind, in case you have a character like that. But now to the more important enemy, which is the White Rooster Guardian. This is the one that you want to focus down, because at the end of the round, if an ally's... if you attack this boss, right? And at the end of the round, this boss would have its HP percentage be lower than that of the Rooster. The Rooster would heal the boss and use Taunt, right? So you are forced to attack him anyways. But yeah, you want to attack him to begin with. You focus down this White Rooster Guardian. And that's really all that matters. You also have to keep in mind that, yeah, of course, right, you have to bring some survivability, because these enemies, they will deal quite a lot of single target damage, so be prepared for that. I want to make a quick note about the thought process that you use here. This here on the right hand side of your screen, right? Yeah, you use whatever. I did already go over all of these thought process in one of my previous videos, and you choose the one that benefits your team the most. But keep in mind that you have like 6 skills here in this thought process, and you have to use 3 of these abilities and lock them in right here on the left hand side of your screen. You see these gold circles here? Yeah, if they are gold, then you have chosen your abilities. Make sure you do that, right? But now let's take a brief look. Don't worry, we don't do the entire battle. But let's take a brief look at how this actually looks in action. So, you can see, like, when you start the battle, you are immediately locked onto the boss, but you want to focus the Rooster, so switch targets. And that's pretty much all you have to do here. And now you just simply go nuts and play however you would play anyways, you know?
Charging. Barrage.
And that's it. So yeah, let's exit that fight and take a look at battle number 2, which will prove to be quite more interesting and more difficult. So let's go and take a look at stage number 6 in the Imagination Palace, called Bounty Plan. And here there's a very, very, very important note to take, because you cannot use incantations of rank 1. Every incantation that you use in this fight has to be, like pretty much, has to be at least rank 2, if not even rank 3. And that is because the boss applies a buff to himself called Differential Field. And the more stacks he gets of those, the more damage he will deal. The boss will not deal a lot of damage to begin with. So you have to ensure that you do not apply too many stacks of this Differential Field to the boss. And you would apply 1 stack of those buffs to the boss whenever you use a rank 1 incantation. That is absolutely not something you want to do. If you use, just a side note, if you use an ultimate that would deal damage to the boss, you would take 2 stacks of this Differential Field off of the boss. But again, don't use rank 1 incantations, right? Refrain from it as much as you possibly can. There is a caveat to this though. And that is because of his ability Dual Force. It says, if this unit did not take both mental and reality damage for the round, then at the end of the round he gains 2 stacks of Differential Field. If those stacks would reach 5 stacks, he would deal additional damage to your team by performing an extra action. That's why it's so very, very important, right? There are those 5 stacks and the extra damage and stuff. It doesn't matter all too much. What really is the big key here is to not apply too many stacks of Differential Field to him by using rank 1 incantations. And whenever possible, you have to do mental and reality damage to him every single turn. And that will force you sometimes to use rank 1 incantations. Because if you would not use rank 1 incantations, you would not deal both mental and reality damage to the boss. This is where things get a little bit tricky, but don't worry about it. It's not as difficult as it sounds, and we will take a look at this in just a second. Now there's one more thing. Just in case you use a team that uses a lot of control statuses, then don't use control statuses too much, because whenever he loses a control status, he applies a pretty heavy shield to himself, and that's never something you would ever want, right? That was just another side note. Now let's take a look real quick. Again, we don't do the entire battle, don't worry about it, but let's take a brief look at how this actually looks. Now, right before we even start, one more note. Make sure you have reality and mental damage at your disposal. Now, if we look at my characters here, my main DPS is Lucy, and what does she do? She deals reality damage with everything that she does. So, reality damage covered, right? My sub DPS is 37. What does 37 actually deal? What kind of damage does she deal? And looky look, she deals mental damage with everything that she does. So now I have already covered both reality and mental damage. If you look at my support and my healer, which are Fatutu and Mrs. Bubble, they also, you see, Fatutu's ultimate does mental damage. The spell from Fatutu that does damage deals mental damage. If we look at Mrs. Bubble, what does her attack do? It does reality damage. You see, I have 2 characters that deal reality damage, and I have 2 characters that deal mental damage. That is the best possible setup for this fight that you could possibly have. So keep an eye on that. You have to have two, like at least 2 characters, one with reality damage, one with mental damage. That is a key part of this fight. But again, the most important thing of them all is to not apply too many stacks of this differential field to him. Do not grant him too much penetration rate, because even if you don't deal both reality and mental damage, yeah, sure, he will do an additional extra action, right? But it won't deal too much damage to begin with. You will see this right here. So now look, first round you will probably not have any rank 2 or 3 incantations, right? So in order to not grant him stacks, I use my buffs here, right? Grab my team shields, I use Fatutu's buff to... Yeah, you know what Fatutu's buff does by now. You have Fatutu, it's a must-have character, you have to pull. So you know exactly what Fatutu does. But now, I just want to skip, because I don't want to attack, as I don't want to grant stacks to the boss, right? If you grant stacks to the boss passively, right, just like I do, because Fatutu's extra action is always, it counts as a rank 1 incantation. So that will grant the boss stacks passively no matter what. There's nothing I can do against that, right? Other than, yeah, I could think about replacing Fatutu, of course, but it's gonna be fine. In that case, right, if you see like his differential field, now 5 stacks, if those stacks, if they become too much, then you have to actually deal mental and reality damage to the boss every single round. Otherwise, his damage output will get out of control. And you see again, like round after round after round after round, I do not have a rank 2 or 3 incantation. So I can either re-roll my hand or like rank up one of my incantations. Keep that in mind. This melody here is pretty good here in this fight especially. But yeah, here it is. I told you everything you need to know about these 2 battles, like so many times by now, and you shouldn't have any issues. That was it. I hope that was informative and fun, but if you like Reverse 1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.